Hi everyone. Yes, the mic is working. So promise this is the last session. इसके बाद हम आप लोग को और बोर नहीं करेंगे. 10 मिनट और एक कोई और introduction देगा and then that's it. Then we are going to probably do our networking dinner and have fun finally. One more 10-15 minute session, but panel इसके बाद panelists नहीं होंगे और introductions नहीं होगा. So starting off, the main question here is. In the last 5 years, everyone did panels on EV future hai, future mein kya hone wala hai. But the reality is, multiple of us in this room own an EV. I personally, between my father and me, we own about 4 EVs. My father has gone fully electric. And it is amazing to see. I was earlier talking to Mragang that VinFast has recently launched into India. एंड दिल्ली में हर दूसरे दिन मुझे 10-15 गाड़ी विंडपास की दिख जाती है एंड आई एम लाइक फ्री में बांट रहे क्या ये लोग, इतनी गाड़ियां हैं रोड पे. सो starting with both our speakers, Akhil couldn't be here because he missed his flight, but he's very sorry about it and hopes to be part of a JITO event in the future. Starting with you, Anubhav, Mragank has told me you not only have the best chargers that are technically great, but one of the most beautiful chargers that are out there. Could you tell us a little more about yourself and your company?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks, Mragank, for giving me an opportunity to Quench for being part of JITO. So we are Quench EV Chargers. We are part of Adore as a group, Adore, which is into manufacturing of welding consumables, welding rods, and been into power electronics for more than 50 years. Quench, which started particularly as a project back in 2020, where one of the charge point operators in India called ChargeZone came to us and said, we want DC fast chargers. And in 2020, we had nothing to do. COVID was on the peak. And then we started manufacturing DC fast chargers. What we did was chargers were always considered as just a box which delivers power. We tried to make it look beautiful. So not just a box, but something which gives a seamless experience.
Absolutely. Going to you, Arathi. You, of course, head Newton Auto. Buses are a key component to our ecosystem. We talked about smart cities, we talked about shared transportation, but bus is the central to that ecosystem. Could you tell us a little more about your work?
Firstly, thank you so much for inviting me here. And thank you, JITO. Thank you, Mr. Mragank. And to be here where there's so much going on about EVs, that is, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, was very curious to come and get a sense of it. And I can just see the enthusiasm that's been there and the focus in the couple panels that I've attended here so far. So we are Newton Auto, an electric bus startup. And what we bring to the table is global standard electric bus built in India for Indian road and load conditions, because we don't have sufficient mass mobility for every stage that we are looking to grow in this country. So if it is employee transport, if it is city mobility, if it is school buses, I think every sector needs more mass mobility so that we would choose that over maybe personal mobility. Having said that, I think as Indians, we have a lot of initiative. So we are thinking about how do we, say, start off, familiarizing ourselves with the EV, which seems new. And we're gearing up for it. But at the same time, we are seeing at various levels, say industry-wise, say at institution level, at global companies that are coming into India, who are looking to establish their global capability centers here, they're all asking for sustainable transport, and we look to play a significant role there. Thank Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. So just starting off, range anxiety is the biggest issue when it comes to electric vehicles. But did you know, at least on major highways in India, your Chandigarh, Delhi, Jaipur highway, your average charger is at every 50 to 70 kilometers. Mumbai Pune pace every 70 kilometers on an average has a charger. Even your Bangalore Chennai highway has it at about 60 to 80 kilometers. So all of us think it's not there, but it's actually already there. So Anubhav, can you talk about how important will localization and indigenous charger manufacturing become as India scales charging infrastructure?
Yeah, so in terms of localization, when we see and when we look at the build of the charger, charger comprises of two main components, which is the controller and the rectifier. Controller is the brain of the charger and rectifier is the heart of the charger. Both of these critical components are exposed to the supply chain issues and restricting, because both of the components, where we talk about semiconductors, we talk about some of the crucial minerals and magnetics that are used in both these components are imported from China or Taiwan. Going from here and localization, what we have seen in the last 3 years, the market is moving at 3x, 2x growth, but the innovation and localization is not happening at the same time, at the same pace. Particularly reason being that we have PME drive schemes, we have phased manufacturing programs from various, from the government of India, but they are not very inclusive of the charger manufacturers. There is roadblock, particularly considering the ultra-aggressive pricing and unrealistic, I would say, timelines. So we recently, it took us 2.5 years to ensure that we have recently launched a 30 kilowatt power module rectifier, which is homegrown and which is manufactured, developed in Pune, and the controller as well. So these are homegrown, both the critical components. And, but still, I would believe the support from the government, particularly considering the import duties and the fluctuation what we see right now in dollars and euros, these kind of subsidy would help us to be more localization fronted.
But just a follow-on question, you said two major components are being imported. Do you think they are something that, say someone in CSN can actually establish and help you on the back end as, like, is this something doable in India? That's what I'm getting to.
So, yes, particularly from semiconductor point of view, we would be looking at some of the companies who can do PLC manufacturing, who can do electrical boards for us. And one of the major factors, other than the manufacturing, I would like to consider and give you some data, particularly since we are sitting here in Maharashtra. What we have seen, there is a big gap in terms of the skilled labor available to ensure that these chargers are serviced. So if you're a company who are doing electrical servicing of some of the components, or some of the capex-oriented factory, the components that goes in factory, that's a huge opportunity. So just to give you a data, but we compared two particular states, considering Maharashtra and Goa recently, and we compared versus the two in South, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. The service tickets that we get in Maharashtra is 3x of what we get in South. So the engineer that visits here and do the servicing are not able to rectify these issues. So there's a huge gap and there's a huge opportunity for somebody here who is into this. And yes, of course, manufacturing, particularly if you look at the cabinets, you look at the mechanical cabinets, that is one of the great opportunities. And some of the components like switch gears, AC contactors, there'll be a great opportunity to be part of the EV
Thank you for breaking
ecosystem.
that down. So Arathi, of course, we've all seen electric buses being adopted in cities like Delhi, where I've personally seen them at airports and even in the city. But would love to understand, do you think the future of charging is actually more dependent on urban planning and real estate integration, or it's more of a technology play?
So what we are seeing today is the ecosystem that's building up. as we speak. So if you look at it, electrification is no longer an option. I think it will enable this shift, like I highlighted earlier, that mobility is something we need to solve for. Regarding the grid, and if I limit myself to, say, the fleet optimization or the growth of EVs and in mass mobility, because passenger vehicles and two-wheelers, three-wheelers, there's a different ecosystem. And whereas when you look at the mass mobility, say trucks and buses, there are fleets that are to be managed. So it is point to point that you're looking to solve for. You don't have a bus that, say, takes off and says, let me just head on a journey and see where I land. It is a fleet operator who is managing it, either B2B or B2G. And that's the kind of business that we're looking at, solving for. So first thing in electric buses were the city level routes that started solving, the government started solving for that. The next came the shorter route intercity. And then we have the staff mobility, which is a huge traffic, but then they don't have that kind of utilization. So those are the challenges that come in. Now, when we talk about utilization, we also talk about the charging infra that comes in to enable and fuel this mobility. So one of the things in India is the grid is being laid. It is not actively seen to us, but the grid is being laid and is being injected with renewable energy. So when you look at this shift, I think the numbers were shared earlier, and that is what, with the growth of data centers, you also have the growth of electric mobility, which will be harnessing or utilizing it. Then you have data to look at as how the grid is being optimized in its, how you're going to utilize this grid. And all of this would enable the shift to electric mobility in a true sustainable way.
Absolutely. I fully agree as someone who's constantly charging on highways. सबसे पहले जाकर देखते हूँ कि on है नहीं है क्या हो रखा है. So that's the reality, right? And actually it leads into the next question, that it's no longer about charger है या नहीं. The real question is reliability, uptime, and ease of payment, the larger experience. So Anubhav, starting with you, do you think in the future we can look at charging as a Google Pay or a Paytm sort of service where it's as seamless as that?
As you mentioned, that it's more about reliability nowadays. There's no more range anxiety. If you look at the market growth in the last 3 years, the first early adopters were either a motor enthusiast or somebody who, ecosystem enthusiast particularly.
Or a nagging wife like me who fought with her husband कि मुझे तो EV चाहिए.
Climate change
मैं थार नहीं
enthusiast
लूँगी.
as well.
हाँ.
Climate change enthusiast as well. Now, people rather than moving to this EV as a secondary vehicle are choosing it as a primary vehicle. What we have seen, industry is already moving towards one tap, one app, and many chargers. So you have one app, one tap, but across the network. It has gradually started coming when I was coming from here. I've driven EV from Pune to here, and while coming here, I was charging at a charge zone station. While going back, I have to charge at a Mahindra station. So I already have, before starting the journey, downloaded 2 apps. And imagine if traveling across another state I would probably have go to Bangalore, I'll be adding 3-4 more apps. And this is becoming a problem. And I believe one thing we have to look at, if you look at the implementation of UPI that happened, the Google Pay that came, there was mandatory forceful from the schemes from the government to ensure that there has to be a universal QR code. I think that is something which is required. Right now, if you look at charge point operators, they are skeptical about going forward. 2 major scenarios, because when I look at the app, it might be available, the charger might be available, but when I go there, it's not working at all. So that has become, reliability has become a problem. Small charge point operators will probably get benefited through this because you have a larger CPOs who give you an access of a great network, a great user base. But a bigger CPO might not indulge and have a small CPO because they are skeptical about what kind of hardware they're using, what kind of CMS that he is using. And then every month you have a billing cycle. How much do I have to pay you? How much I have to get it back? So that is one of the challenge. But eventually the QR codes has already been implemented, that's what we see. We would also see payment devices on the charger itself where you can come, you can just tap your credit card, you can credit card, debit card, NFCs. All this is what we are seeing in the next 2 years is going to happen.
That's always good to hear. Arathi ji, going to you, a lot of CPOs, what I've understood, the way charging point operators work while expanding is they make you co-invest when they set up a charging station, say locally. So would love to understand, as this opportunity grows, where do you see the larger growth? Is it on highways, apartments, workplaces? Where would chargers be set up, and how will the distribution possibly be even for a EV bus manufacturer like you?
So definitely it is an infrastructure solution that we're looking at. There would be hybrid solutions at the moment, but what we are also seeing is dedicated charging infra that is being invested in with multiple uses, because one is, if we look at it as a bus port, right? You see many people today when they access bus mobility, you do not have all the luxuries that you would have around other mobility solutions. So we could look at something like that. Regarding a business model, we're seeing very flexible business models like leasing, providing the solution or the fuel cost or the a very flexible model depending on how you utilize it. So for a fleet operator, this kind of flexibility versus if it was a passenger vehicle that was accessing this electric input would benefit from it by just providing a regular kind of commitment to the charging infra.
Absolutely, that makes sense. Anubhav, going back to you, what do you think success looks like for the charging ecosystem when it comes to tier 2, tier 3 cities? Tier 1, there's already been so much development. So talking about, say, CSN, or talking about, say, I live in Sonipat, right? Like there's a lot happening in tier 2, tier 3 cities. What does success look like over there?
If I take CSN as an example, what we've seen coming from here, driving around 350 kilometers, we have already seen this, the penetration of EVs already started. I come from Himachal, very small town called Mandi, and we don't have a single charger in a radius of 50 kilometers, but I already have seen, probably every time I go back to my hometown, every new EV is coming there. We have MGs, Tatas running on those roads. So which is not expected, particularly coming from a hilly region. Here, what we have seen, I have seen close to about 5-6 charging stations driving from Pune to here. Every single charger was underutilization. So utilization, which was one of the biggest questions for a charge point operation, is not there. We have commercial vehicle coming in that Arathi mentioned, and they're looking for a hybrid kind of a structure where bus, truck, EVs, four-wheeler, passenger vehicle, everybody can charge. What we have seen here in terms of in tier 2 city, it's very, there's very faster pace of getting a EV connection as compared to some of the metro cities. So that becomes one of the great enabler for the ecosystem. Penetration is already there. We have seen close to about 2%. So back in 2023, they were close to about 2.4% penetration. Today, 2026, we are at 4.8 with around 3 lakh EV four-wheelers sold. And by end of this year, we will be looking at close to about 4.5 to 5 lakhs EV sold. So these particularly small areas where the integration of all these EVs is happening particularly in isolation, but once connected to bigger CPOs, we are looking at all the CPOs connecting to major highways, so which is already started. So whether you're driving from Pune to Mumbai or Delhi or even Bangalore, Kerala, Hyderabad, you will find all these places having a EV charger on roadside.
Makes sense. I'm very happy you brought up utilization because that's the most critical aspect to going positive on, money-wise, economics-wise on any charger. So, ma'am, I would love to understand from you, what would be your perfect scenario where, of course, we didn't mention three-wheelers, electric three-wheelers, Dr. Uday talked about it, is a big component of the EV story. So, buses ho gayi, three-wheelers ho gaye, two-wheelers, of course, don't need fast charging, but they're also part of the story. The realistic picture where possibly India can be at when it comes to utilization, sharing data, possibly having an app, what would it possibly look like where it's a better day ahead?
Yeah, I mean, we do think about this very often, and the ecosystem is so vibrant, so dynamic. It's tough to keep up with the solutions that may come your way. And, when you say that you can sense the winds of change, right? You can either build walls or you can set up windmills. So I think we are at a stage where, one, we're open to conversation, we're open to collaboration, and every new idea that comes your way, and you say, no, I don't think this will work. And then you just take a step back and, you kind of ponder a bit over it, maybe reach out to experts who have insights on these concepts, because we are approached by so many people who have such new business models that they're coming out with, be it setting up fleets or financing it or operating these buses. And one of the things that we hear very often is an asset-light model. And in manufacturing, there was some hint at it in the previous session, and maybe there is a possibility to make it asset-light, is bus manufacturing and scale to 10x of what we need to be at as a nation. So looking forward to that.
There is a lot of investment happening, and EV as a space is growing. So I'm sure we will get to a better place. And a lot of apps have evolved. It's not like 5 years pehle jo scenario tha, wo, it's the same. So we are not stuck. We are moving. But yes, I feel, collaboration is the way forward now that the technology is here. So last and final question, and because Akhil is not here, he was going to cover swapping. So I'm going to talk about, I would love your thoughts on two major things that people, I'm sure, have on the back of their mind. One is swapping, and second is hydrogen. I'm going to say it out loud, especially for you, ma'am. I would love to have you talk about hydrogen, and Anubhav, if you could shed light on swapping. Is there a future for it, or does it's just part of the picture? What does it look like for you, like just your perspective?
So we definitely see future for battery swapping, particularly for two-wheeler and three-wheelers, and maybe small commercial vehicle if you look at it. We have already seen some of the OEMs, whether it's bus or trucks, who are doing battery swapping for buses and trucks as well. It's a I would say a capex oriented operation. However, yes, for charging, going from a public, considering the public charging for four-wheelers and probably commercial vehicle as well, charging is something which we'll definitely do. Adore, fortunate enough that I have also worked in hydrogen space back in 2020, 2021. We see hydrogen definitely coming maybe 5 or 6 years from now, particularly for long-haul trucks. We are looking where these particular trucks are 55-tonner and more than that, or maybe the big commercial vehicle traveling close to about 1,000 kilometers in one go. So this is how we see future for both EV and hydrogen.
Yeah, regarding both the options, like I said, there are very innovative business models around battery swapping for buses, and we've been in communication with them. as well as hydrogen fuel cell. So both these solutions will provide for one thing, is long distance intercity travel for buses. So when you talk about commuting, say from any part of India to say the other extreme end, it is more than thousands of kilometers away. And if you look at the travel that we as Indians grew up with, you know, it's always go across the country, visit a new place. And I believe that this is not the culture in other countries. Many a times they limit themselves to the region, the state, the city that they've grown up in. But in India, from the time it's part of the family culture that head out somewhere, you know, to a distant location. So this is something that we need to enable for, and hydrogen fuel cell will enable this in intercity travel as well as battery swapping. And both of these are very infra heavy. So I guess as the infrastructure gets solved for, we will be moving into that space. We're already looking at it.
100%, 100%. So to this, I would like to open the floor to questions. Would anyone have any questions? Yes.
Hello, I am Hitesh Bagrecha. For example, I am a local brand, not as local brand having a EV station, charging station. How do we manage the competition from multi-brands, giants like MG or Tatas or Adanis? How can we do better, or how can we manage that? Because if they expand on every 50 kilometers and we are planning to invest more on EV stations, how can we manage that?
So we are definitely looking, maybe by the end of year's consolidation of the EV started happening, where we have regional CPOs who have maybe 5, 6, 7 charging stations merging with the bigger national players. So that is what I would advise or suggest to go with. So companies like ChargeZone going from GOBP, they are already looking for these regional CPOs where they take a part, take them under their network. It depends on what kind of utilization you have for that particular place, what kind of hardware you are using. If that matches their utilization rate and their particular highways they want to set it, there are many opportunities to be part of that particular network.
I'd like to add one point here. We are seeing this issue, private fleet owners of buses are looking for charging infra support in tier 2 cities and tier 3 cities. So tier 1 cities, more or less, it's solved for. So if you also look at tying up with them, those EV fleet operators or bus operators who are looking to move into EVs, then that would also be a start of a new conversation. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Nagar.
Is there a synergy between EV charging and EV maintenance? How can a CPO, if I'm a CPO, charge point operator, how can I increase my earnings? And how can I make a viable business model out of it?
The charging?
Charging and maintenance.
Okay.
Vehicle maintenance.
Right. See, that's another innovative model. That's right. True, I think that would make a good synergy, because one is, in fact, we proposed this to one of the private fleet operators, saying that that's the future. You are an early adopter of EVs, and as you train your technicians, you're just building a model for growth in the future. I think there's a lot of synergy there. And even when you bring in your vehicle for, say, as a pit stop, you need to charge it and take it forward. So whatever the investment may be, even if it is a small investment in chargers, it would go a long way to have the synergy along with service skill attached to it.
So as a CPO, what we have seen in the last 2-3 years, all these charging stations were built for a passenger vehicle. The penetration and utilization was driven on, say, at 2 years back when we had a discussion with CPOs, everybody spoke about utilization. And the numbers was less than 5% utilization, less than 6% utilization. Last year from February 2025, the utilization, because of the push from the government in the commercial vehicle coming into place, the small commercial vehicles, 1-tonner, 2-tonner, the commercial vehicle, buses, trucks, the utilization and the guaranteed revenue for every month has changed that scenario. However, these stations are not built for commercial vehicle. You do not have these spaces where a bus or a truck can come in and charge, because these are 60 kilowatt chargers or a 120 kilowatt chargers, not enough to charge a bus which is stopping for another 40-45 minutes. So we are looking at a hybrid solution, as Arathi spoke about, where we will have these stations where everybody can come and charge. And probably you can also have stations who are already built only for the commercial vehicle, where only commercial vehicles is coming to charge. Particularly for maintenance point of view, hardware play a very crucial role. We had a good insights from AI, and based on that, what we have seen, the market will reward the players who built a intelligence layer over the hardware. So charger, in terms of charging, the charging is over. So you have CCS2 standard, you have dual VCCU, you have a dual port charging, that is top. The innovation will be built on what kind of predictive maintenance we do, how we can provide a seamless charging to anybody who's coming to charge. Because for a EV user, what we look at, you've been driving for almost more than 2 lakh kilometers, and for them it's the trust issue rather than going for it. For them it's not a hardware issue. For them, neither a technical issue nor a hardware issue. It's a trust issue. So intelligence layer will definitely solve a lot of the problems and the maintenance issue, considering the charger as a hardware sitting at an ecosystem.
And reinforcing that trust is the main thing. Finally, मैं driver को बोल दूँ GOBP ने 4 स्टेशन खोले, उस पे करो, वो बोलता है नहीं मैम ये static वाला ही चलता है, मैं इस पे ही जाऊँगा, मैं दूसरे वाले पे भी नहीं जाऊँगा. So that's the reality. Yes, last question please.
Good evening everyone. My name is Ronak Jain, and I am a co-founder of EV Pump Services Private Limited. Very excited to meet you. Sir, हमने जो हमारा EV Pump Services है, ये हमारा फाउंड हमने छत्रपति संभाजी नगर से ही किया है. हम अर्ली अडॉप्टर ऑफ EV व्हीकल्स भी है, और जब हमने EV चलाई थी तो हमको रियलाइज़ हुआ कि हमारे पास इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की कितनी कमी है. तो इस वजह से हमने खुद से एक चार्ज पॉइंट ऑपरेटर हम सर्विस प्रोवाइड करते हैं, जिसमें हम 60 किलोवाट, 80 किलोवाट, 120 किलोवाट, 240 किलोवाट्स तक हमने अभी तक चार्जर इंस्टॉल किए हैं और हम रन करते हैं. अभी तक महाराष्ट्र में हमने सर 30+ चार्जर्स इंस्टॉल किए. ऑलमोस्ट हमने फ्रॉम मुंबई टू नागपुर हमने कवर किया है, एंड थाउजेंड्स ऑफ व्हीकल्स वी हैव चार्ज्ड. वी हैव स्टार्टेड इन 2022 एंड नाउ वी आर गोइंग अहेड. बट एज अ फाउंडर आई नीड टू get an insight about what is the next innovation, what is the next big leap that we need to take in our business, because everyone's complaining that we have 1 car and 10 apps for charging the vehicle. So the next innovation will come in the sense that the single person should have a single interface to charge his vehicle. And what is the hardware that you are able to provide that no one else will provide in the future? Can you please help us?
Particularly in terms of hardware, what we are looking at, which can do a predictive, the intelligence layer that we spoke about. Because when you look at the charger, it's not a box which delivers a charge. It has a combination of power electronics, you have thermal issues, you have site conditions, you have software talking to the network, and you have a software which is communicating to the car. Any of these layers fail to deliver seamless operations, the charging will be hampered for an end user. In particular, innovation or going here from now, what we are looking at, already mentioned as at the hybrid stations where everybody can come and charge. The intelligence layer which is built, which gives a CPO a feasibility to do 40 or 60% of the error correction themselves. So you are not dependent on a charger OEM. Most of the things is resolved from your end as well. it gives you seamless charging. So for example, if somebody faces issues at the charger, he probably goes to a CPU will call the OEM will take their own time, and by the time the solution is delivered, the EV user is already at the next stop to get the charge. So I think that intelligence layer is built. Third, what we are also looking at, everybody in the CPOs segment are going for ultra fast chargers. 30 kilowatt became redundant last year. We are seeing 60 and 120 kilowatt becoming redundant, particularly by the end of this year. And going now, it will be ultra fast chargers. We are looking at 180 kilowatt, 240 kilowatt, and dispenser solutions. We are also looking at cars which are coming with the, if I can name, Hyundai is coming with plug and charge. You have plug and charge, which only Tesla used to have, but the security level and cyber security levels, particularly at these, are going to enhance. So we are looking at more strict versions of these, the plug and charge coming, more cyber security coming in place as we scale.
Great, thank you. So I'd like
Ma'am, can I get
yes,
ma'am's
please.
insight?
Would you-
Please. Can I get ma'am's insight also?
No, firstly, kudos to you for thinking of this and establishing that infrastructure along the way. We appreciate it because we've just, to conduct demo runs and push our vehicle, we've been doing a lot of demo runs across the country. And we look for infrastructure along the way to charge it. We get a lot of support from Quench here. It is very important what you're doing. With regards to two risks, which is technology risk and the credit or monetary risk that we have of building this kind of infrastructure, it is something that as an entrepreneur you have thought about it, and it will definitely benefit you. What I would say is have that resilience to stick on there, because you've already understood what that particular route has, the challenges, setting it up. There are so many other things to solve for, which you have solved for. Now technology is something that you can, be open to and need to resolve for it, keeping an eye on how technology is moving. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, thank you. So I would like to end this panel on one last question to both of you. It may be an Indian city or a global city. Which city has done it right when it comes to charging? Any kind of charging. Which is your city that you look up to?
I would say Kochi in Kerala. Extreme utilization, very well connected charging networks, stable grids, and majorly, I would not name the CPOs, but they are making money.
So we, as a bus OEM, we would say we've seen a lot of, I think Mumbai has been very progressive and open. We've also, though you look at it as a real estate constraint, that how did you find space to, charge your bus, but we've been able to find such locations, and for us it was very exciting. So yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, Anubhav.
Thank you so much, all three of you.